Hello, British English with Maria here. Today I'll be talking to you about humour. The reason why I decided to choose this topic for you today is, first of all, I believe in the importance of humour, of how big of a role it plays in our lives, be that in personal or professional life. And actually it was because I picked up the book that talked about the transformational power of humour in a workplace. And the one thing they mentioned is that a lot of people, whilst they can be very humorous and light-hearted in their personal life, when it comes to workplace, they tend to be serious, they don't joke, and it can have some negative consequences for their career and also for their mental well-being, which in turn impacts your career as well. So let's see today about the reasons why using humour can actually help you improve your career performance, build better relationships, and just feel better and happier at work. And maybe let's touch upon some barriers to why humour might not always be appropriate, what might be certain downsides to using humour or maybe negatives. So, first of all, we know that laughter is the best medicine, or we should know that, and we often use it out of work, but we spend so many hours with our colleagues in front of the computer, and we think it's inappropriate to laugh, when in fact it can be great stress reduction, it can make us feel happy, but we might feel it's inappropriate to laugh when doing work tasks because, well, we might be seen as unprofessional. We're not taking work seriously. We just don't care enough, and we feel if we do that, then we will be passed up for opportunities for promotion and just not taken seriously at work. And no one wants not to be taken seriously at work. However, if the humour is used appropriately, you can actually show that you don't take yourself too seriously. You can lighten a stressful situation and in fact show that you are able to interact and laugh at yourself, and that can be a great confidence booster for yourself or other people around you, just to show that it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to find some situations humorous. Of course, it might be inappropriate in distressing or extremely difficult situations where being serious is the most appropriate thing. So exercise humour with caution, but in everyday, especially with in everyday situations, especially with tedious tasks, that might be a really good way to relieve the stress. Humour can really help you connect with other people because it makes it more fun, more interactive, more engaging, and just enjoyable to talk to other people and for people to talk to you. You know, if you use it in an appropriate manner, it can help people to connect with you better on a more personal level rather than just professional, again, leading to increased morale and better links and communication with other people. Again, however, exercise it with caution. You need to be aware of cultural sensitivity. It's especially true in an international environment where you have a mixture of people from different cultures. So if you might find something appropriate, a person from another culture might find extremely offensive. You should never joke about religion, for example. However, some people from the same religion might have inner joke. So if it's an inner humor, something that's inside humor, that's not cannot be understood by people from outside of this circle, you need to be careful as an outsider. I do think, however, sometimes cultural differences can be extremely funny as well, but you need to feel for what is appropriate and what isn't. So British love sarcasm and exercise it a lot on a constant basis. But again, you need to be careful because sometimes a sarcastic remark might be taken seriously and vice versa. When someone's trying to be serious after having been quite sarcastic, the other person might misunderstand and think they're still being sarcastic, whereas they are being deadly serious. So you should take the advice word for word, and it can lead to some misunderstandings, some uncomfortable situations, and some problems in communication. Another thing is actually when we joke, so as adults, we become more and more stiff in terms of our ability to be creative, to think outside the box. We tend to think in a more linear way, and some jobs or some situations in any job might require some creativity and innovative thinking. So being humorous and lightening the mood can help you just break down those barriers, those limits, and just try to think a little bit differently to how you normally think on day-to-day basis. So that can be very, very useful for sure. However, when you need to focus on something very technical or extremely precise, it's probably best to leave humor aside and just focus on whatever it is that you are tasked with doing. Humour can also help you to deal with difficult situations. So if you are faced with some failures and setbacks, just taking them a little bit more lightheartedly than you normally would can just help you see a way out, a way to solve the problem. Of course, do not overdo it, because if you just laugh at problems and not deal with them directly, not only will you just continue accumulating the problems, but also be perceived as someone who's not professional, who doesn't really care about their job or their career. Interestingly enough, as been mentioned in this book, and perhaps you might agree from your personal experience, leaders who exercise humour are seen as much more approachable and relatable by their team members. It can help them humanise someone in greater power than they are, and it can help to connect and relate much better. It is interesting that the higher the ranking in a company, the more pressure people feel to exercise, to do things in a more serious manner, approach, and to not be humorous because they can seem as unprofessional. So actually the opposite is the true. So people feel more connected to people who are willing to be more honest about their setbacks, about their failures, how they learn from them, as well as being humorous about their mistakes. So again, you need to kind of balance this in a very sort of the best way possible, and it can be challenging, but try to maybe, I think if you are a very serious person, maybe try stepping outside your comfort zone just a little bit. Just try to expand your comfort zone just bit by bit, rather than becoming an overnight comedian, because no one can. The other thing that's very interesting in this book is they talk about that no one is born a clown, no one is born a perfect humorist. So it's a skill, like any other skill you can learn by practicing, by learning from your mistakes, and just bit by bit improving on your jokes. And actually, interesting enough, the other interesting observation is that it's not about your jokes being super funny, not at all. You don't have to be a stand-up comedian. What it is about you trying to take a light approach, you're trying to lighten the mood, and you're showing that you are willing to take that extra step. So just that intention can already be very fruitful in terms of results of communication, collaboration, and better and improved atmosphere in the workplace. There is, however, the old adage that you must laugh at your boss's jokes, and the inferiors or people less senior do feel the pressure to laugh at the boss's jokes, no matter how inappropriate, out of place, or perhaps even borderline discriminatory they might be. But again, it depends on the boss, so and on the team and on the company's culture, so that can be a bit difficult to deal with. But perhaps you can respond to humor with some humor to your boss and see how that feels. Obviously be careful, tread lightly, but it might yield some unexpected results. Also, someone's been aggressive to you or rude, sometimes you, rather than responding aggressively to them, you might respond seriously and professionally, or you might just crack a joke and see what happens. Maybe it will lighten the mood, maybe it will change the person's attitude and behavior and make things much more easy for you to deal with. And finally, be careful of the stereotypes in your jokes. If you are continuously making fun, say you're a female and you make fun of females for being absent-minded, I'm so absent-minded today, I'm, being a very typical female, you can keep on reinforcing the stereotypes about females in general, and that can be very damaging, not only to your perception of yourself, but also to other females in the company. So just be mindful of those types of jokes. So I hope you found today's episode useful. show and try to give you a bit of different take on humour in the workplace. I'll be curious to know in the comments, do you use humour at work? Do others use humour at work around you? Have you seen positive or negative effects of it? What do people do well? What could people improve on and do better? Let me know. Thank you for tuning in and listening to British English with Maria today.